all fall sometimes and we never get up.
What is going on, guys? It is Adam, aka Marf, and this is Marfoogle News. Nothing in the show should be considered legal, medical, or financial advice. The views of the callers can differ considerably and do not necessarily reflect my opinion, Dex's opinion, or anyone else who works with the show. You should always do your own research and consult with professionals. The internet is full of fake news, so please take everything with a grain of salt. If you have not already, it helps us out if you end up going through any of our affiliates, and it helps you out if you end up protecting yourself against cybercrime. NordVPN is one of the best and one of the easiest to use. If you do not have a virtual private network, it protects your IP address, which is your online identity, which actually connects to your real address and everything else. It also connects to you. If you know anything about how they are data logging and basically getting your profiles down, you can prevent that by having a VPN. Nord is, again, one of the easiest. Download it. It's like an on switch and off switch. All you have to do. Go to marfooglenews.com/VPN. Not only will you get a giant discount on this, but you will also be helping us. I appreciate your support, and I appreciate everyone that goes through any of our affiliates. Can't say thank you enough.
We all fall sometimes and we never get up. We all fall sometimes and we never get up.
All right, what is going on? It is Adam, aka Marf, and this is Marfoogle News. Tonight we have a packed show for you, a ton to go over in a short amount of time. So if you are new here, just remember you can actually get all of the articles today. If we show you a video, a tweet, a article, of course, any kind of picture, it is all going to be on our website, marfooglenews.com. Now, when you go over there, you'll see that it is very easy to navigate and that it is actually by thumbnail. So when you see this thumbnail, you will want to click on that, and then you will see that we have all of the actual links here. And again, it is DUMB, Deep Underground Military Bases. Will there be room for you? Now, once you see down here, there is also a web-only content. That is basically stuff that is getting people kicked off or too hot for TV or too far to one direction for us to cover. That is past that yellow bar. On the right side, if you do want to support us, we are an independent media company. Of course, if you do want to support us in any way, all of the affiliates are over there. It is the last day. In fact, it doesn't even say days left. It says hours left on the EMP Shield giveaway. So if you have not entered yet, please go over there and do so. It is no purchase necessary to do so, and you could win a very, very, very incredible piece of hardware. All right, and that again can protect you against real EMPs and real CMEs. So let's bring in my co-host / internet brother / will be on the phones tonight. Dex, what is going on, and how are you doing tonight?
Oh, well, hello, Adam, and hello, Foogle fam. I'm doing just fine.
So the number is going to be scrolling down. You'll see it just popped up, 224400 Marf. If you do want to call in, make sure to get in early. Again, once you get to our phone tree, you will press option 4, and then you will be transferred over to Dex. If you are watching a replay, feel free to comment or, again, give us your opinion down below. If you're not subscribed and you're watching this show, especially if you're watching the full 2-hour show, think about it. It's definitely something that helps us out, and we appreciate it. So we have, I'm going to fix something real quick, though. I don't know why this is, okay, there we go. All right, I have to click on each one. That's so weird. All right, and then there we go. Then that works, and this works. Okay. So, getting right into the news, there is, of course, underground tunnels all over the country now because of different companies that are kind of vying for different contracts with the government. We've talked about deep underground military bases for a long time. Of course, they're quite secretive, and at one point, people argued if they were even real. We know for a fact that our country has a whole network of underground tunnels and things, and I think that Elon Musk is only adding to this. I believe we already had a network of tunnels, but now they are making them like no other. Again, this is something that Would make a lot of logistical sense if you were trying to move things around, especially military equipment, extremely sensitive or secretive equipment. You would want to move it underground in a secure facility, or on a plane, or on something like that, or on a train that's covered. But some things I believe are too big for that, and I believe that is why they use the underground tunnels for some of this. It says, so Elon Musk wants to build a tunnel to the beach in Florida. And that may be just the beginning. It says, inquiring minds want to know how Elon Musk's Boring Company will dig a pair of underground tunnels from downtown Fort Lauderdale to the beach in flood-prone South Florida on the cheap. The Boring Company's 29-page pitch, submitted to the city in June, but only recently made public, holds some clues to the ambitious plan. It says the tunnels would not be for your car or mine, but would be eventually use self-driving Teslas as a form of public transportation, shuttling riders east and west from the Brightline station to the famous beachfront intersection of Las Olas and A1A. To start out, the Teslas would have drivers, so there would actually be somebody in them until they get that going. Which, by the way, that means that I assume by the way that they put that it's not too distant in the future. Are they already working on it? Of course, now it says that it was just made public, but this is older. Were they doing tunnels all over the country beforehand? Of course, in the last few years, even mainstream media has covered these loud booms and, of course, shaking ground, people's houses shaking, and USGS cannot explain it because it is not showing up on the USGS or on the Richter scale. So there's like basically earthquake happening under people's houses or, in their houses, and there is no Richter scale earthquake to go with it. So a lot of people have theorized that they have already been digging these tunnels, that they have been boring these tunnels, as it's called, the Boring Company, and that there's a whole network of these things already done and ready. Why would they do this secretly? Why would they... why would they do this so quickly? Again, now it is said that, of course, he has a ton of these contracts where there's huge amounts of money and there's not really something that matches it. Of course, with the SpaceX stuff, you can, of course, explain a lot of that away. But there was money coming in that was kind of unattached to all of these contracts that he was doing. He's done it for, of course, Nevada, for the main city there, and he's doing it for others. So this is pretty weird. It says Mayor Dean Tantalis has been championing the project for months, saying underground tunnels could be one way to lessen the pain of downtown gridlock and get more cars off the road. Here's how things would work. And then basically it talks about the loop. Now, one thing that I think is really kind of telling here is that they are trying to get rid of cars completely in some states, or they're saying that they want to get rid of all gas-powered cars in some amount of time. In my state, I believe it's 2030 or 2025, but it's not some far-off, generational gap. It is coming up really soon. Anyone knows the next 4 years will go by in no time, and the next 9 years will go by in no time. So either way, it is very fast to try to cut out all gas-powered vehicles. Now, a lot of people are also saying that a lot of these states are going to follow suit. Even if you are in a different state, there are, of course, theories that federal laws are going to govern this and that a lot of stuff is about to go down. I believe that we are about to run into a lot of change, and that's because I have been watching this, and I've been watching how quickly things have been changing around us, and I do believe we are at the precipice of major change, and even bigger than what we're dealing with right now with, of course, the CV. Andy Burnham, thank you for being the first one in. Says, truth is the long-awaited SM. Hey, thank you again for supporting. Samuel Silziak Silva Sandoval, thank you for subscribing. Robert Tarrant and Corey D. and Carmen Saccone, thank you guys for being a part of this, and thank you for subscribing. That really does matter, and I appreciate each and every one of you. Viticus Rising, Craig Alicious, and Sparky's Run, thank you guys for being the last ones out of the last show. I appreciate your support, and I know Dex does as well. Again, if you do want to call in on any of these topics, 224-400-MARF. In a minute here, we're going to touch on the fact that, of course, China just told all of their citizens to stock up on food. That is extremely alarming, considering if you've been following my show and everything that is happening, they're essentially cutting out everything out of their country, anything English or Western world, icons, communications, as far as English speaking, they're cutting that all out. At the same time, we have this massive problem that they say is due to shortages, where there are no containers virtually leaving China and no containers getting unloaded in California. It's been a month and the shoreline still looks the same. Another question to ask is, if you've got cameras that are showing no ships leaving China, are these things getting unloaded? Shouldn't it take, maybe a week to unload this? It's been 3 weeks and the shoreline still looks the same. Were those all boats en route, and the ones that have already left have been replaced by ones on that long journey from China? And there's no more behind that, and maybe in a week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks, we'll start seeing no ships? I don't know. But there is a lot of really weird stuff going on. Of course, China is making waves right now. There's comments we're going to talk about here in a minute. And then Yahoo and things like this are pulling out of China. So there's some big signs here. We have satellite images actually showing that China is making significant changes. We're going to go over that as well. So as far as these underground tunnels and the dumbs, I would say, is there going to be room for us? Is there going to be room for the majority of people? You look at countries like Russia, and they actually have a huge sprawling system that is public, that they know about. In fact, there's signs that point you to the nearest one. In cities like Moscow, they say they can house all 40,000 people or all of the people in that main city square there next to the capital. But we don't really have that. How many shelter signs do you see on a daily basis in a downtown area in any city? I'm sure we have some, and I'm sure we've had some ones that are decommissioned, but do we actually have protection if something was to go down? And I'm not just only talking about, of course, a nuclear explosion. What if it was a meteor? Or what if, of course, a massive wave came or something? Probably don't want to be underground for that, but I'm sure there are certain types of shelters that might be good for that, at least for a temporary wave. What do you think? As far as Elon Musk, I'd love to hear your opinion on what you think he's really doing. He is now contracted with, of course, boring underground tunnels, which, again, can be used as dumbs. He is now contracted with Neuralink, actually doing the science to connect a human brain to a computer. And he is contracted to send people to space and get people off of Earth. In fact, his ambitious plan says that he's going to get everybody off planet and to Mars. There are a lot of people, including myself, that believe that there is something massive happening. At the same time, they are telling us that the world is at the point of no return and there's all these things going wrong and we're going to have to make serious changes or we'll all go extinct. This is what they're saying in mainstream, in Congress, everywhere else. At the same time as we're doing that, you see the elites not only buying these massive underground bunkers, and we've gotten confirmation after confirmation of that. Now we even have Atlas Survival coming out and saying he's building a bunker for one of the top 5 billionaires of the world. And I bet it is massive. But we also have governments being formed in space. Asgardia is not just a fictional, village in Thor. Asgardia is actually a government being formed, and they are signing all of the right X's and signing their X's and Q's or whatever you want to call it to actually form this government in the sky, a government in space. So obviously, we had the Sunspot Observatory mysteriously shut down. I still think about that. I don't forget about any of these little things. If you don't know what I'm talking about, go back to that because the official story was pretty crazy, especially considering at that time we believed that there were 6 other specifically solar observatories that were shut down. What do? Well, they watch the sun. Right now, we are in solar cycle 25, which is also predicted to be one of the most wild and crazy and unpredictable cycles there. At least some scientists that are actually pulling a lot of people over to their side say that on a 22-year cycle rather than a 11-year cycle, that this looks like it could be a guaranteed crazy storm of solar and epic proportions by 2024. They are also warning us about the moon wobbling and actually creating catastrophic floods. That isn't something from Express or National Enquirer. That is from mainstream scientific journals, and from basically every media outlet out there is saying that we will have catastrophic flooding in the 2030s because of the moon's wobble. On top of that, they say that it's moving away at a certain pace, and on top of that, it helps control our tides and everything else. So are they telling us that the outline of our countries and our world is about to change? I don't know. What do you guys think? I would love to hear your opinion on it. What do you think about him digging these tunnels, and why Florida? Why there? Why in Fort Lauderdale for all the retirees? Do you think it's because it's owned by some of the elites? I know that Fort Lauderdale is mostly retired folks. Why would they do this ambitious plan? I get that there's spring break there, but why else? Now, remember, you can call in on this, 224-400-MARF. We're going to hit dumbs before we finish off. I'm going to move on, and I'm going to come back to this because I think that there's a lot of stuff going on at the same time that actually makes a whole lot of sense. By the way, Susan Donahue, thank you for stopping by again. Adam, Dex, Mod Squad, and Foogle Fam, I'm super grateful for each and every one of you. Hashtag Team Humanity. And then Andy Burnham says, we are all going to die from self-inflicted BS. Well, that's, I believe there's probably a lot of people that agree with you here tonight. Something is coming, can't describe it, just a gut feeling, says that Gen X dude. Yeah, something is definitely coming, that's for sure. And then we have the La Palma warning. Volcano landslide could kill millions of people with a mega tsunami. It says on September 19th, the lava burst out of a crack in the Cumbre Vieja volcano on La Palma and flowed down the mountain in and through the villages. Jets of red-hot liquid and ash were thrown into the air, the lava destroying everything in its path. Villages, schools, and hundreds of homes were consumed before the lava reached the sea 10 days later. The volcano has now been erupting for 6 weeks, which is really crazy because it's already been 6 weeks. But it says that most recently spewing large amounts of ash over the island on Saturday. A total of 24 hectares of land has so far been covered, according to the data from the European Union Satellite Monitoring Service. It says it is nothing unusual. La Palma has a long history of volcanic activity, having erupted 8 times since the Spanish began keeping records in the 15th century, with more likely to have occurred before. Added to the risk that comes with volcanic eruptions are landslides, something that is common and on newly created islands like La Palma. Now, of course, huge mega volcanoes actually create mountains. I mean, that's how mountains are created. Pieces of tectonic plates that smash together and kind of make this tube from the middle of the earth, or supposedly. So this is a newer island, and when they say that, this probably didn't exist in millions of years ago. It says a possibility was explored during Naked Science's documentary Landslides. Here the narrator noted a slide from this mountain could kill millions of people in Europe and along America's eastern seaboard. In geological terms, La Palma is a relative baby, barely past its 4 millionth birthday. It was created in the last stage of what geologists call the rock cycle. The eruptions have built steep-sided cones with surrounding layers of thick ash, great hills of residue, seemingly ready to topple over. Geologist Bill McGuire of the University College of London claims that gas pressures could build up in a future eruption and crack open the island along the fault line that runs along the ride on La Palma. So this is kind of a diagram here, and what they're talking about. If it cracked in a certain area, part of that would go in and cause this mega tsunami. That is what everybody has been talking about and, of course, worried about. But another thing that has been going on is we've been getting, of course, tons of people concerned about this emailing us. One email that I got about 4 or 5 days ago that I actually forgot I was going to... I haven't got a response from them to, ask them if I could show it. But just to paraphrase, they said that the U.S. and U.K. are actually extremely worried about that. And they have a campaign. There's an actual campaign going to reduce panic about La Palma. Now, I don't think that means that it's necessarily going to go. But I would see them. I would see something like that being true, as far as them actually having a concerted effort to reduce panic or to reduce, of course, information going out that might, scare people, especially if they see the long-term picture of it and it's not going to happen, but it looks like it might happen. I don't know. But I do know at least the UK and the US have a concerted effort, and they're assigning people for internet relations on La Palma. So I thought that that's pretty interesting, and I do know that this person has somewhat credentials, so that's pretty crazy. As far as La Palma erupting and causing these landslides, it's a pretty scary thing, and I did not realize how much it would affect the UK and all of them over there as well. I mean, we're talking about a massive, massive event if it happened. I had a dream, of course, that I was on La Palma, and I didn't realize it until after this whole thing started happening. I actually described the dream on a show way before we heard anything about La Palma, and I saw the hillside resorts in La Palma. So it kind of tripped me out. I've never been there, never seen it on TV. It's quite a unique looking place. So what do you think about La Palma? Give me a call if you have information about this. 2244-00-MARF. That's again 2244-006273. And then we have soaring wheat prices are raising bread costs. Of course, we have wheat prices are surging from the U.S. to Russia, hitting a record in Europe and raising bread costs all over the world. And there may not be relief soon. The crop grown on more land than any other was hit by droughts, frost, and heavy rain this year in key exporters. Sorry about that. Something happened here. Sorry about that. We were getting some sort of like buzzing feedback from something. Sorry. Back to this. As far as the wheat price, we've talked about a lot of different things that are in shortage, and this is only going to get worse. As far as wheat is a main, as a main staple that people are going to need, and this kind of goes into everything that we're going to be talking about. China is going to go through these massive, massive shortages. They're telling people to actually stock up. So something is going on. Again, wheat prices from the U.S. are surging, but on top of that, the entire world. It says it's not just threatening higher grocery bills, it's giving central banks a bigger inflation headache and risks worsening global hunger that's already a multi-year high. That worry is that big crops looming in Argentina and Australia won't fully ease tight supply, and fields elsewhere are just only being planted. It says we could see a further upside, said Carlos Mera, head of agriculture commodities market research at Rabobank. It says the higher the prices go, the more fear there is in the market and the more panic buying. So again, wheat was up 1.1% to $8.0575 a bushel in Chicago on Tuesday after touching the highest since December 2012. Well, Paris futures reached a record of 297 euros or $345 a ton. So this is on top of probably 20 or 30 different products that we've shown you just in the last 2 months. This is definitely a sign that things are not going well. Again, it says dwindling stockpiles. Well, the world has a lot of wheat. Much of it is held in countries like China. Keyword: China. So China is not only in control of a whole lot of things like our antibiotics, but a lot of our wheat and our staples are coming from China. Why? I have no idea. And China is even working in cahoots with Russia, and they're growing, and together they're supplying each other. But the rest of the world right now is being cut off for some reason, or it seems like it's being cut off. It says, which ships little abroad. Inventories in the top 7 exporters, a better gauge of availability, are expected to sink to an 8-year low. Argentina and Australia just started harvesting, but it will take the better part of the year before northern hemisphere silos are replenished with the next crop. So what is really crazy is that, things like this, if something stops for a season, then we have an entire world that's kind of consuming, and there's nothing to consume. I just think it's it's pretty wild to think that one little thing can just screw up the whole chain. That's why they call it, the supply chain. Now, of course, it says that China tells families to hoard food for winter. We're going to get to that here in a second. And then President B says he's not worried about armed conflict occurring with China. So, in fact, before we get to this, Dex, let's get to our first caller. And then with that first caller, again, it looks like we have Angel, a first-time caller, says he saw a fleet in October. So let's go on into that. Angel, you can come on in now.
Adam, I'm trying to get Angel on the line right now. There he is.
Angel, you are live on Marfoogle
Hey, what's going
News.
on?
What is happening?
Not much. I don't want to take up too much of your time because I know you guys got a lot to probably get into tonight. But I wanted to discuss this phenomenon that I've never experienced before, ever. And it's pretty crazy to me. So I'm basically just calling because I'm trying to find out if there was anybody else the other night that had maybe gotten a video or had seen what I saw. It was a pretty good fleet. It was about 20 unidentified, just flying right over me, about maybe a couple hundred feet off the ground. I wouldn't say they were the size of a drone, but this thing was moving about as fast as an airplane, pretty much. These things are moving pretty good.
Now, if you can, speak right close into the microphone. So about 20 UFOs, and then
okay.
Can you tell us what state are you in?
Yeah, so it was on the north side of Colorado Springs. I was working out in the general area. It was Old Road and Thunder Mountain Ranch.
So
I'm just trying to switch to regular phone real quick.
No, that's good. Are you on speaker?
Hopefully you can hear me better. Yeah.
Yeah, the already sounds better. I don't know if you changed yet, but so have you checked the national reporting site?
No, I haven't.
So there's a national reporting service that is actually government funded somehow, but they have kind of a massive database, and it's actually centered here in Washington, I believe in Seattle. And it was for a long time, it was one guy, and he actually was the official way to report. I'm trying to see if we can see here. What night was this? Do you know exactly what night?
It was Thursday night, about just before 7:30, probably 7:28.
And I'm sorry, what was the date? Do you remember?
28th.
28th. I just wonder if anybody reported anything. We have a lot
But
of...
I just wanted to say that it was one of the craziest things I've ever seen. At that moment when I just realized, this is actually, an unidentified, nothing I've ever seen. It almost sent a chill down my spine because I've had dreams in the past where it's just one day, the sky is just going to be filled with these things, and I think just seeing that, just it's almost like it's starting to come true.
Well, again, I'm going to go over to the database. What is really interesting is it's cool because it's indexed by state. We can actually go to Colorado and see if other people saw what you saw. Let's see here if it was. Wait a second. So 10/17/21. Okay, so it was on 10/28. Huh.
Yeah.
Looks like their last, and I know that it takes them time to actually get them inputted, and they usually try to wait until there's multiple. I would say report it because other people may be waiting for somebody to report it too, to not sound crazy. But 20 lights, the thing is you are also around these places where they test things. I mean, they fly over like 4 or 5 different states in the middle of the country with these weird experimental flying objects of our own. So you never know what you're seeing. You could see U.S. U.S. technology or something like that. But that's freaky to see 20 of them all in a fleet.
And the thing was they weren't actually like lit up. They were like they had a subtle glow to them just from the city lights from underneath. Like you could barely even see them. If you didn't stare right at them, you would never saw them. They were like hidden.
Now on the 4th of course, October, it says multiple UFOs captured on camera over Aurora, Colorado. So that there was actually several in the last couple months where it was multiple objects. Looks like on the 18th, back in June, back in July. So who knows? Maybe you have some locals there that are keen to the inside of a mountain or something. Who knows?
Yeah, definitely worth looking into. I just want to say thanks for everything you guys do. You guys are awesome. What's up to the Fugel fam? And just want to share a Bible verse real quick. You know, when the Lord says, these things begin to happen, to look up and lift up your head. Luke 21:28.
Hey, well, God bless you, Angel. And again, your name is Angel. Like that's the it was meant to be. Well, thank you, Angel, and you have a great night. And just because it's your first time call, don't make it your last, okay? That was Angel out of Colorado. Did any of the Fugel fam see what he saw? He said it was on Thursday, the 28th of October, so 3 days before Halloween, and it was about 20 lights by Thunder Mountain, I believe is what he said. And then before we move on, I do want to remind you right now, if you do want to stock up, and we'll talk about it later, again, make sure to go over to Patriot Supply at marfooglenews.com/prep. But first, again, I want to remind you, EMP Shields contest, it's their last day. There's 25 hours left in this contest. You can also go to marfooglenews.com/EMP. If you do want to protect yourself against an EMP or all 3 phases, E1, E2, and E3, and protect yourself against solar flares, again, go over to marfooglenews.com/EMP. If you don't want your car to be stuck out in the middle of nowhere when we do get hit, or if we get hit by an EMP, then make sure to go over and check these out. These are professional grade, military grade pieces of hardware. This is the same company that has worked with agencies like DHS, Department of Homeland Security, DOD, Department of Defense, and of course the DEMSO team helping protect the Texas grid. See, when it does happen, all of the military buildings and things like this will be protected. All of the government buildings will be protected, or at least hopefully most of them. But will your house, or will your car, or will your RV, or will your main transportation? So again, you can protect yourself. Go over to marfooglenews.com/EMP. It's all 100% American made, and you get $50 off per device right now when you go through our code. On top of that, they have already given $10,000 worth of products out during their different giveaways. This is one of their last, I believe it is the 10th and final giveaway. So make sure to get over there and participate. You only have 25 hours left. And that is over on marfooglenews.com. And you can just go right to our website for tonight's show, and it is right there. In fact, I believe for 25 days it's been on there. So any of the previous shows, you will see this down right above web-only content. All right, and then Dex, it looks like you have everything lined up. I did want to pop over. Up next is Joseph Newhouse. We'll get to him in just a moment. By the way, Joseph, thanks. And then Ryan, another first-time caller, talking about military sightings. So they are all lined up. As far as President B says he's not worried about an armed conflict occurring with China. What do you think about this, Dex?
Well, I think it's also kind of funny that, he went to the COP26 conference, right? And neither China nor Russia showed up. It was only him. So two things went on here. I think maybe this is just his way of putting out some banter, to sort of be relevant, because he was pretty irrelevant about, trying to unify any of these big countries that are obviously our adversaries right now. So we'll see if this is just, chest beating on his part. I don't know. It's kind of hard to tell when he's talking, like what he means and what he doesn't. But
well, because he's not just saying he's not worried about it, like them doing something. He's saying that it would be a big mistake. Now he's trying to be the opposite of what they've said he's been this whole time. I don't know if this is for his image or what it is, but it says that out of Glasgow, U.S. President JB on Tuesday said that he's not worried about an armed conflict accidentally occurring between Washington and Beijing. Mind you,
maybe it won't be an accident, right?
That's a good point. Every word is supposed to be chosen, but who knows? He is the kind of guy who would go off script or forget script. It says accidentally occurring between Washington and Beijing. And by the way, he's not saying that it would happen. He's not saying between Taiwan and Beijing. It said that President B told reporters that he did think it was a big mistake for his Chinese counterpart Xi Jinping to not come to the COP26 conference. So it's kind of telling that both Putin and Xi did not show up to that. So you can kind of see what's going on right now. Xi has not showed up in any public events, to my knowledge. If any of you have anything that they've gone to in other countries, please let me know. Dex,
so are they not showing up because of JB, or are they not showing up because of the topic and they don't care about the topic?
Yeah, right? Exactly. Or
both.
Or leaving their countries at all right now because something bigger is going on.
Yeah, exactly.
Or again, like you said, are they not part of this whole movement, right? The whole, I guess, it's a very debated thing, right? It's controversial.
Yes, it is.
Do they not believe it? I don't know. By the way, None Your Business says hello at Adam and Dex and Foogle Fam. Don't forget the mods. By the way, let's get an M in the chat for the mods. They're doing a great job keeping it an awesome place down there. I know we have Bones and a few others down there, so thank you. And then we had Rip Curl last night. That was awesome to see. Sheila Amos says, Unknown Eagle, new YouTube, lives solar flares, asteroids, earthquake all the time. Love to join him. Sheila Amos, I will definitely check him out. And then Texas Sweet Tea says, tell Angel, please watch Mr. MBB333. Does weather, but recently he is catching the fleets as well, almost every day now. I really like Mr. MB333's channel as well. He just did a crazy video with a being above this person. And then Bible Talk for Common People says, Dark Winter USA grid will go down, plus maybe tsunami, and China and Russia will invade Ukraine and Taiwan. Hopefully, that's kind of stating what a lot of people think is going to happen. Ides of March, thank you so much for your support. Mike Rolling, thank you for subscribing. And then Texas Sweet Tea, or Texas Sweetie says, a Halo CME is headed this way, spaceweather.com. Yeah, so yet another right afterwards. I told you this is going to be a really crazy cycle. I'm starting more and more to believe that these other scientists have got it. We got information just about a month ago that the White House is secretly going off of the 22-year cycle. That is not public information, and I believe that I don't think that anybody can prove me wrong on that. Because, I guess, I think their actions are showing, I guess at least the circumstantial actions that they are taking looks like they're preparing for something much bigger than what the other side is saying. Again, with this conflict, there is a lot going on. So just to show you, they are shutting down historical debate. China makes it a crime to mock heroes. is so much going on in their country all at the same time. It says the young woman in Beijing began her post complaining about mobs gathering online, where recluses vent misogynistic insecurities from the safety of their desk chairs. As provocative as it was, it might have passed unnoticed, except that she added another beat. She mocked the toxic masculinity of users imagining themselves as Deng Kun Roy, a textbook war hero who, according to the Chinese Communist Party lore, died valiantly during the civil war that brought the party to power in 1949. For that passing reference, the woman, 27, and identified in court only by her last name, Zhu, was sentenced last month to 7 months in prison. This is what they do to you in China if you talk crap. Dex, by the way, this kind of relates to what we covered last night. Do you remember the story we covered last night about a law, the bully law here?
Oh yes, the one in the UK.
Yeah, it would be a new, or I guess it's not here. It's in UK, but it will circle the planet, I'm sure, if they get it passed.
I'm sure.
Whereas if somebody deems your message harmful, you could serve jail time for your statement online. So much for free speech and freedom of expression, right? Well, you could be. It sounds a lot like we are porting over a lot of these things that China has done for a while now. This woman sentenced to 7 months of prison for her post. It says her crime, violating a newly amended criminal code that punishes the slander of China's martyrs and heroes. Since it went into effect in March, the statute has been enforced with a revolutionary zeal, a part of an intensified campaign under China's leader, Xi Jinping, to sanctify the party's version of history and his vision of the country's future. Does this not sound familiar? Like, imagine if they passed a law saying that you couldn't say anything bad about John Kerry because he's a ketchup war hero, right? Say you said that they all of a sudden declare he's a war hero. You talk smack about him, say, oh, it was ketchup on his suit, whatever else. You go to jail. You go to prison for 7 months. They're not talking about a regular jail. They're talking about Chinese prison. That's what's going on over there. This is the kind of people that they are doing. And then you see these kind of laws and these crazy things getting ported over to regular free countries. At the same time, all of these countries have lost all freedom under the guise of something else. Seems to me like it's just so blatant what is happening, and people are just completely sleeping. They're pressing the snooze button. Cyberspace Administration of China, which polices the country's intranet, it says internet, but it is an intranet, has created telephone and online hotlines to encourage citizens to report violations. It has even published a list of 10, quote, rumors that are forbidden to discuss. Wow. By the way, I wish they would have... look at this. In April, a 19-year-old man in Nanjing was charged for disparaging the victims of a Japanese massacre there in 1967. A 63-year-old man in Beijing was charged for mocking a Navy fighter pilot, Lieutenant Commander Wang Wei, who crashed in the South China Sea after colliding with an American surveillance aircraft in 2001. At least 3 people were detained in May for derisive comments following the death of Wan Longping, a scientist who developed high-yield hybrid strains of rice. So these aren't like the country's biggest heroes. These are this lieutenant, somebody from 21 years ago, 25 years ago, something like that, getting in an accident and being declared a hero. What I see, though, is that, what they think about in this is the term. Say if you talk smack about President B, if you said anything negative, if this kind of stuff gets absorbed into other places in the world, you would serve prison time. And it's almost to that point. I mean, it seems like it. Absolutely nuts. And then China's Xi to cement authority, legacy, and the Communist Party resolution. Dex, do you want to explain some of this? This is pretty crazy.
Well, we've heard like what was it? Putin had created some rules that allowed him to extend his reign and extend his term. It seems like Xi is doing something very similar to create some resolutions for, you know, what's going on with the reign, I guess, if you want to say, of his party and himself and others.
Basically cementing his this new thing that they're doing is a resolution cementing his authority and legacy and strengthening his case for a precedent-breaking third term starting next year. A resolution for the important achievements and historical experiences of the party's 100 years of struggle will be discussed and almost certainly ratified by the ruling Communist Party's 300-plus member Central Committee when it meets on November 8th through the 11th for the sixth and penultimate plenum of its 5-year term. This resolution is a further move by Xi to consolidate power and lay the groundwork for a third term, said Yang Chu Hoi. It says the so-called historical resolution, the text of which has not been released, will only the third, with the previous two put forth during tenures of Mao Zedong and Deng Xiaoping. It says, while Mao and Deng used such resolutions for the party to reflect on past missteps and criticize members who had taken the wrong path, analysts expect this one to extol the successes of Xi's era, building the consensus that his is the right path forward for the party and the country. It will all be about praise and self-praise. Deng Yuwen, a former editor of the party school newspaper, who became a party critic and now is based in the United States. It says Xi has established himself as the most powerful Chinese leader since Mao, doing away with the 2-term limit, and is widely expected to be confirmed for a third 5-year term next fall when the Central Committee convenes for the 20th Party Congress and elects a new leadership team. Now remember, when it came out, people had just assumed he got rid of the 2-term limit so he could serve indefinitely for the rest of his life as long as he, as long as he lines up things right, he could be the ruler for the rest of his life. And that was what was quoted. That he's saying that he was going to be the ruler until he died. It says, as a prelude to the resolution, the party's propaganda department issued a document in August detailing the party's historical missions and contributions in the century since its founding, heavily focused on the governance practices of Xi's tenure. Basically saying all the good things that he did, right? Because this is what all politicians do. They put out, it doesn't matter if you say, well, your mistake killed thousands, but I'm really good at philanthropy. Well, did you learn a lesson? Well, he's dead, right? You know what I mean. And then China's satellite crusher, Space Pearl Harbor, is coming. This is a pretty big one. This is, again, by Tyler Durden, if you don't know the pseudonym, on Zero Hedge. So this is a pretty savage one. Their opinion is that China's satellite crusher, Space Pearl Harbor, is coming. And when they say Pearl Harbor, they mean it. It would be a surprise attack in all of our satellites. It says the satellite, according to China's Aerospace Science and Technology Corps, is tasked with demonstrating technologies to alleviate and neutralize space debris. As Beijing sees it, American satellite constitute debris. Dex, this is funny because we actually said this. We said this like, quote, that, are they going to see our satellites as debris? Because remember, this device or this crusher thing, it's supposed to get rid of space debris. Do you remember our conversation?
Yeah, I did. And really, it's not as advanced as you may think. It's really just a robotic arm, right? A mechanical arm that probably doesn't telescope. It probably expands out on joints, but it has a gripper on the end of it, like a claw, right? And if you think about it, like these satellites, and I've said this before, they're not like hardened. It's not like they're not like a tank up there. These are fragile devices. They're not meant to be touched. They just sort of float in a vacuum, right? So grabbing them with any type of force it makes it easy to break them and make them, unable to operate. Remove them from orbit and have them crash back into Earth. All sorts of things can happen. And as a matter of fact, there was a story yesterday, and I couldn't find a way to get it into the show tonight because it was in a format that we couldn't show on screen.
Yeah.
But the one of the Chinese satellites was navigating away intentionally from a U.S. satellite. Now, some say, oh, don't worry about it, it's not a big deal. They do that, but they're actually saying it was very covert in the sense that it was trying to get in and trying to move away from one of our spy satellites. So there's a lot of maneuvers going on up there. And with this new satellite up with this gripping arm, I mean, this is the easiest way to take something out and just, start grabbing these satellites and crushing them, so to speak.
I thought, how are they taking care of space debris though with a robotic arm? They're just grabbing it and letting it go, right? I mean, what are they really saying? I mean, are they putting it in? Is there like oh my gosh, do you remember Spaceballs, the giant vacuum cleaner?
Garbage can, right?
Yeah, it's like a robotic arm into a like a parking lot cleaner. They're picking it up, and then Spaceballs comes along with the vacuum cleaner ship and sucks it all up.
Well, Star Wars had the compactor room where everything just crushed together.
Yeah, with isn't that where the monster was too?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, the whatever they called it. It says the Communist Party China's satellite is a real-world offensive capability that can hunt and destroy American systems and render the U.S. military on Earth deaf, dumb, and blind. That was Brandon Reichert, author of Winning Space, How America Remains a Superpower. It says, at one time, America was dominant in space, and American political leaders decided to go slow on developing anti-satellite weapons for fear of triggering competition. But we know that they have weaponized space, and Department of Defense has now come out and said that. It says all that American restraint did was allow to Chinese and Russian militaries to grab commanding leads in the race to deploy these impossible to defend against delivery systems for nuclear weapons. Think about that. We can't defend against these delivery systems for nuclear weapons. Unfortunately, the Department of Defense is still unbelievably bureaucratic and slow. And we've heard this from so many different officials now, that we have all this red tape that they can't cut. Meanwhile, China and Russia don't have any of that. They say something and it gets done. Now, I'm not saying that they're great in all this, but they don't have the same bureaucracy that is holding back our defenses. We have to go through all these things, all these loops, and make sure we're not offending anybody and make sure that we're getting this done and this done. They say if we want this done, it's just done. It says the Pentagon's bureaucracy is just brutal. Outgoing Vice Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, General John Hyten, he is actually one of the last ones we covered. He said that we're just done. Like they're surpassing us. And that it's already then you had the chief Pentagon software officer, a position that was created for him, said that we are already it's a done deal. China has put us in lock on AI technology and everything else. So that's horrible. He's saying he resigned, saying I don't want the blood on my hands. It says fortunately there is also Elon Musk, a bureaucracy of one. They're basically saying Elon Musk can do things without, he can just spend the money to do it. It says on October 24th, China launched its Shenzhen 21 into orbit. The satellite, according to China Aerospace Science and Technology Corps, is tasked with demonstrating technologies to alleviate and neutralize space debris. As Beijing sees it, American satellites constitute debris. It says Shenzhen 21 is a robotic arm that can be used to move space junk. There are more than 100 million pieces of it floating around Earth, or capture, disable, destroy, or otherwise render unusable other nations' satellites. That arm makes Shenzhen 21 a satellite crusher. Brandon Reichert, author of Winning Space, How America Remains a Superpower, tells Gatestone that the Chinese satellite was launched into geosynchronous orbit, where many of America's most sensitive satellite systems are. Those critical to nuclear command, communications and control, surveillance, and military communications are located. They put it into the same orbit as these. That is pretty freaky. It says because the U.S. satellites are in geosynchronous orbit, are so far away from Earth, they are both expensive and hard to replace. He said losing any of these systems with no replacements on hand would give China's military an unprecedented advantage in the event of an outbreak of hostilities. China has designed its new space station, Richard Fisher of the International Assessment and Strategy Center tells me, to incorporate additional large military modules that can be equipped with lasers, microwave, or missile-based anti-satellite systems. In September of 2008, China's Shenzhou 7 manned mission came within 45 kilometers of the ISS, and as the Chinese crew was launching a microsatellite, an obvious simulated ISS intercept mission. Says Fisher, one of the veterans of that mission. Fisher tells Gatestone is now the commander of the on board the Chinese space station. It says they're going counter space in a big way. So they're basically preparing to knock down all of our systems. This is what they're talking about when they're talking about a Pearl Harbor event in space. They would knock down all of our space equipment, our satellites, our GPS, everything. And we know this is coming. It's not like we're not the most advanced country in the world. We know they're going to do it. So what it is it's about launching defense. But again, they say they're impossible to defend against. That's why this is heating up. Dex, this is basically to the point where somebody's just got to, it's basically whoever pulls the trigger first.
Well, yeah, and the fact that people still make fun of Space Force sort of blows my mind, right?
If they knew what was going on up there, they wouldn't. They say they are doing all of those things because they saw how the United States has used space for dominant advantage. For many years, Washington has taken space superiority for granted. Complacency is not only American disease, however, American blindness also had a role. At one time, America was dominant in space, and American political leaders decided to go slow on developing anti-satellite weapons for fear of triggering the competition. With the U.S. having the most assets in orbit, the reasoning went the U.S. would have the most to lose with a race.
Well, I think the one good thing we've got going right now, and I guess it's also the bullet point that you said in the very beginning, or at the end of all the bullet points, was having Elon. And it's not just Elon, not like he's like our savior or something, but it's the notion that we have gone to the point where we're commercializing space, right? So things are getting built much faster with less bureaucracy. In other words, inside a commercial organization, they can probably throw away all the red tape they don't have to deal with, and they can build stuff. And Elon has proven that to some extent. Jeff Bezos has proven that. If there comes a time that we need to move faster, it's not like we can't. We just have to do it differently. And I think we've proven we can do it differently. So hopefully the people in power are, and I can't imagine we would ever know this is going on, but they're tapping into people like, SpaceX and others to get things not only up into space, but to also build things faster that they may need from a defense point of view.
Well, it's most definitely happening very quickly. I just want to leave you with this. Weichert tells Gatestone is planning a space Pearl Harbor. This is why we have been telling people, and then you're going to freak when you see this next set of stories here. We're going to go to our next caller, but first I do want to remind you right now there is $100 off on a 3-month supply of food. If you do want to stock up, don't wait until an event happens to get it. Again, we've teamed up with My Patriot Supply. I tasted 4 different companies. I thought this was the best. Plus, they are rated extremely well for as far as long shelf life. If you want to get long-term survival food, if you want to get water filtration, if you want to get survival gadgets, if you want to get, of course, emergency radios, iodine pills, pretty much anything that you can think of that you would need in a disaster, you can go to a one-stop shop, marfooglenews.com/prep. Again, that's marfooglenews.com/prep. Make sure to get over there while they still have that $100 off. There's virtually all these companies are taking away most of their discounts, not because they're trying to be mean, they're trying to keep up with orders. There is so much demand right now for not only as far as the bunkers, like Atlas Supply said, it's like 10,000% increase in the demand for certain things. This is one of them. So make sure to get your stuff before you need it. You're not going to be able to order stuff to come in a week. You're not going to have Amazon when SHTF happens. You're not going to have the access to stores. You're not going to have access to any of that if any of these things happen. So remember, go over to marfooglenews.com/prep. Again, if you don't have water filtration, that's probably one of the most important things. That's why they say 90% of us would die if our grid went down. Not because we'd be taking each other out or, Second Amendmenting each other in the face. It's because we would have a lack of water. That's what they say would take us most of us out. All right, and then let's get our next caller. We have Joseph. Joseph's on the phone, and on deck is Ryan, a first-time caller, talking about Chinooks and military sightings out in Ohio.
Hello.
And Adam, Joseph's live.
Joseph, you're live on Marfoogle News. What's going on, man?
Hey, Adam. How are you feeling?
I'm doing good. We actually
good. So
before you start, I do want to say I did get your email about the article, and I still have not gotten a chance to read it, but I was really impressed that you took that upon yourself to go write. And again, thank you so much for doing that. And then you wanted to talk about a couple things today.
Right. I was gonna say the article. It's kind of like a specific to. It's like a news. I did like a report on something you talked about, and so it's not like a big article about everything people should know and stuff like that. It's just a short like a pager about that article, and then. So I sent Dex a video over, and don't play it. I did get copyrighted for it, but you can go to timestamps that I'd say you can go to like 10 seconds, 20 seconds, and then maybe 47. So basically, Jacob, I don't think you're on the right video, man.
No, I don't. I don't think so. Dex, can we make sure that link is correct? But
I mean, though, or something.
I was going to say, most definitely that you would get copyrighted for this.
Oh yeah, I wouldn't keep that up.
That's the one I pulled up was secret of the 10 Commandments. That's the right one, right,
Yeah.
Joseph?
Yes, that's it. But
That's the link I put in there.
It looks like there's a Sherlock Holmes.
Okay, now I got it.
Oh, okay. But yeah, so I would just pause it, and then you could go to like 10 seconds, 20 seconds, and maybe 47. So basically, I saw this video from Jacob Israel talking about the 10 Commandments, and I loosely call it the secret here, and so I also related it to this video from a channel called Matrix Explained, and he's talking about the use of mirrors in the new trailer for Matrix Resurrections, and so I kind of related this to what Jacob was talking about in his video about the 10 Commandments, and this is kind of not what like what religion would teach you. So this is like strictly, like the word. I know that might confuse some people, because but yeah, it's just a complicated topic. I don't know how to explain myself from here. But anyway, so this video, in the video from Matrix Explained, he talks about the original Matrix being based on rather than people being batteries, they were being used as like clients on a server. So like you're looking at the client server model, but then there's also a peer-to-peer network, and the peer-to-peer network is where each person is like a server, and so that basically the Matrix. It can't be like, you can't go destroy the main frame of the Matrix. Like, it's just, you can't do it. And so I related it to this with the 10 Commandments. And if you go to like 47 seconds, so this is relating to in the Animatrix. I know this is getting complicated, but it's like a 3-minute video. So they talk about people when they see things that don't make sense and they start to doubt their reality, that it increases these glitches or whatever. And so basically Jacob in his video explains about the 10 Commandments, that rather than a list of things not to do, the 10 Commandments are a promise. Like, one day you shall only worship the truth. And this could be why Moses cast down the 2 tables. So then I also, at the end, I kind of mentioned, so when Jesus was asked what is the foremost commandment, he basically explains, first is love the Lord thy God, and second, love thy neighbor. And so it's kind of confusing the way I explained it, but I just see these 2 things matching up, and it's kind of following up you posted an article on Twitter about this whole new world at the Earth's inner core, and
I know, isn't that a trip?
I don't know, it's all a bunch of like crazy stuff, but it just makes so much sense with with everything.
So, well, I need to check this out. If everybody wants to go over and watch this full video to kind of understand, maybe he didn't explain it in the short term of things, but in the video, I'm sure you probably took your time to do so. It's only a 3 minute and 43 second video. It sounds like you got some stuff in the beginning. I'm surprised they got you a claim for just such a little tiny part too. But
well, it's that clip from with the Frenchman from the second Matrix, and that's the only part that got clipped. But I didn't want you to hit it on accident. Click.
Oh, I know what you're saying. Yeah, that's why you can grab screen grabs and do screenshots and kind of explain scenes. That's better for not getting the claims. I mean, I can show you a picture from this. It's obviously not get one, but yeah, but you see, I've been thinking about the Matrix a lot lately. Now they're coming out with this new one. So basically they're changing kind of the original story. They're morphing it, and who knows? I bet there's going to be a ton of symbology. I was just talking to somebody else about as far as us being in the Matrix. In fact, I was talking to my good friend Dave, who might be watching right now. Hey, Dave. Shout out to Dave. But how the fact that that the neural link is connecting people to these computers, and we would see stuff through Elon Musk's neural link, and of course he and everybody else is questioning who's to say that that's not what's happening right now, that this whole existence, our brains we're seeing out, is us plugged in. It's just a crazy theory.
And then plus the new name for the social media thing, Meta. That's the name of the cafe in the Matrix where Neo works, Meta Cafe, or I don't know if he works there, but that's the cafe, like the coffee shop, Meta Cafe.
I didn't know that. That's freaky.
Yeah, there's all kinds of weird stuff.
Well, it's only going to get weirder from here. I'm sure just this screen grab, there's probably something weird in one of these photos that we didn't know about. Look at that. It shows him with the thing getting dropped in. Well, Joseph, I'll send everybody over to the video, and then again, we have no problem publishing the article story. So, thank you again for calling in, cool. Joseph.
Thanks for doing your show, and thanks for having me on, Adam, and thanks to Dex and Altmods and everybody else.
All right, Joseph Newhouse. If you want to go to his channel, you can go to marfooglenews.com, and you can find Joseph Newhouse's information. This video. It says Matrix 4, Secret of the 10 Commandments that religion won't tell. And he was also bouncing off of Jacob Israel. If you haven't, by the way, he mentioned Jacob Israel. If you've not seen Jacob Israel, he's a really good guy. He's the same guy on and off camera. Actually, I think he's a little bit less exaggerated off camera, but as far as his New Yorkness, but Jacob Israel is actually just a genuinely really good guy, and I believe he's quite prophetic, and he doesn't, he's not, he has claimed, he's published work that has ended up coming true. So there's proof of that, and he always says that, he's not doing it on purpose. It's just going through them. Pretty freaky stuff. And then we have Yahoo pulls out of China amid challenging environment. All these signs are coming together, and people are starting to see it. This is the Associated Press, by the way. It's pretty much as mainstream as you can get. It says Yahoo Inc. on Tuesday said it was pulled its services from China, citing an increasingly challenging business and legal environment. The company said in a statement that its services were no longer accessible from mainland China as of November 1st. In recognition of increasingly challenging business and legal environment in China, Yahoo's suite of services will no longer be accessible from mainland China as of November 1st. It says the company's withdrawal coincided with China's personal information protection law coming into effect on November 1st, which curbs what information companies can gather and sets standards for how it must be stored. Chinese authorities maintain a firm grip on internet censorship in the country, and it says, and they require companies operating in China to censor content and keywords deemed politically sensitive or inappropriate. Yahoo added that it remains committed to the rights of our users and a free and open internet. So they're basically saying, like, we're not going to censor for you guys. Dex, this is a pretty big deal for them to pull it out of all of China, right?
Yeah, it's a big deal. It's one of two things. Either one, they don't have the resources, time, effort, and money to do what China wants them to do, or two, they're really fighting the good fight and saying we don't want to stand with that. So, because ultimately there's a lot of money to be made in China, and that's why it's always, when it comes to business, it's usually you don't see businesses pulling out. But on another note, this is the second company that was not too long ago, a couple weeks ago, LinkedIn had announced that they were pulling out, and they're owned by Microsoft. So they definitely have the money and resources, I would assume, if they wanted to continue to pursue their social platform in China, but they pulled out as well. So it may be a good sign, and maybe this, let's watch it long term, but I think, maybe it is a sign that this company is trying to do the right thing. Let's hope.
Or they know something that we don't. Something's going on. Satellite images appear to show China is making significant progress developing missile silos that could eventually launch nuclear weapons. We just talked about this the other night. We told you, in fact, Dex, so this doesn't actually update on how many, does it? Because we were at a number, and we have talked and we've predicted that all of a sudden overnight they're going to show a number is going to come out and it's going to shock the people. This is at least what I've heard. Is that
we know that they're growing significantly. We've heard this report before. It was just interesting though too that we were just talking about it, and then yet
just last night
today. Yeah, here it is today in the headlines about the investment they're making in these silos.
It's almost like these journalists are watching our show to do what they cover next. It's weird. We keep calling it the night before, and these are dated articles. So you can go the night before and see that we're talking about it, and then boom, it pops up. It's really weird. Me and Dex have noticed it several times where we talk about something, and it's not because we're talking about it because it's in a news article. We're covering different news articles, then we go off subject to something that is random. We'll talk about it, and then all of a sudden we see an article on that, an update on that, or something like that. It's just weird. But I think it's because we can, by how much we cover this, we can see where it's going next. Rapid construction at 3 suspected silo fields in China, which could eventually be capable of launching long-range nuclear missiles. appears to indicate that Beijing is putting substantial efforts and resources into the development of its nuclear capabilities, according to the analysis of new commercial satellite images. Experts from the Federation of American Scientists, or FAS, a nonpartisan national security research and advocacy organization, found that China has made significant progress on suspected silo fields in the western part of the country. They're just building them like crazy. They're trying to take number one spot in every category, and they're trying to do it in a year. This is unprecedented.
Yeah, and in this later in this report, it does say that they're up to 3 fields, and it's around 300 silos. So that's, I'm assuming there's probably 100 per field, and that's probably what their system manages in each of those locations. So, but yeah, we said this number was going to grow significantly because they were probably only in the 300 range of number of nukes compared to, I think ours was 1,700 that were in deployment, but 5,500 that have been made. So they've got a long way to go, but we know that they want to be first in everything, like the most ships, the most airplanes, and now probably the most nukes. So this is rapid development, and seeing 300 come together really quick should be the writing on the wall.
We're talking about months, people. Months. Leonard Harview, thank you for subscribing. Welcome to the Foogle fam. Everybody, welcome. Leonard Harview, just hit that subscribe button. Robert Engel, thank you so much, Robert, for joining us as well. We've got Kristen Romar. Thank you for your support. Massive support from Kristen Romar. Thank you so much. And Seth Covington, thank you for your support last night and tonight with Super Chat there. And Nika Tiaka said, President B and T-Man are on the same side. It's to dismantle the economy. This is happening worldwide. Nika, I wouldn't be surprised by anything at this point. The entire world has been turned upside down, and I don't know anything until after it happens, right? Caleb Everett, Kyle E. Wiley, thank you for hitting that subscribe button. Ruben Bailey, thank you. We actually just hit 167,000 subscribers on this channel. We already hit 197, and our next thing is 200,000 subscribers over on Marfoogle News. So if you're new here over the last couple months and you have not subscribed to that main channel, help us hit that 200,000 mark. Our sister channel, Marfoogle News, spelled the same as this one, only with news instead of TV. Make sure to head over there and subscribe. Nunya Business, again, thank you, and thank you. And I missed Rusty88, says, I'm in central Illinois, and I've seen more military helicopters more than ever. Thank you for your fantastic show and information. Thank you for letting us know. I mean, it's all over the country. We've got emails and videos from all over the place. I want to start turning them into shorts. So if you have video that you want to send us, let me know. Go to marfooglenews.com/playmyvideo. So there's the silos. And then, of course, it says the Navy isn't prepared to face growing diesel submarine threat. A veteran submarine hunter explains how the proliferation of ever more capable diesel-electric submarines is a major problem for the U.S. Navy. It actually goes into that. It says the diesel, it is very interesting to see the media coverage of the diesel submarine threat and how impossible it will be to find air-independent propulsion, or AIP, submarines. It's as if we have been thrown back to the dark age of early 1942, when Nazi U-boats began operating off the U.S. East Coast and the Gulf of Mexico. One of my, it says there is, I think that this didn't process right. It says there is no question that searching for a diesel submarine operating on batteries is very difficult due to the nature of its signature, or for the most part, non-signature. I was this person wrote it very scattered. It says on S3 Vikings starting in the mid 80s, I spent a lot of time looking for submarines of all kinds. On board a carrier, my Viking squadron's air crew chief petty officer loved to remind everyone in our ready room, flashlight in hand, about the challenge we faced as we were about to go into a major submarine hunting exercise that included diesel boats, which was an extremely rare event. Turning it on, he said, "This is what a diesel sub sounds like." The silence produced by the device and his comment was deafening. However, the silence of a diesel submarine is not deafening. I was amazed at how many of us forgot that 2 world wars were successfully fought against diesel submarines. Then, as the first decade of the Cold War progressed, we relearned how to fight the diesel submarine's technological advancements, namely the snorkel and the hydrodynamic streamlining. Notice I said signature above, which implies someone is trying to track a diesel submarine with passive sonobuoys. The first sonobuoys, introduced during World War II's final years, had relatively good success into the 1950s at tracking diesel boat propeller noises, when the operator turned up successive buoys and listened for the one with the loudest propeller noise. As diesel boats became more streamlined and propeller blade technology progressed, dropping passive buoys after a target submerged did not work as well. Basically, better boats moved faster than NATO aircraft, and ASW ships could drop, tune, and listen to the buoys. Thankfully, active sonobuoy technology was just coming of age, and we were back in the game. Along with active sonobuoys, helicopter dipping sonar technology was rising to the occasion, and new fixed-wing, rotary wing hunter-killer team rose with it.
So this is kind of crazy, Adam, when you think about it. We've talked about how old technology is being reused again and repurposed, right? So, you get accustomed to everything that's new and you forget about the old technology. And when some of these countries that can basically build, buy, or, refurbish an older technology sub, and we don't even recognize it anymore, right?
Well,
and we just talked about it with China taking old fighter jets and turning them into drones, right?
Yeah, and I don't like when people write a long-winded thing and they don't put periods and they don't split up their thing, and you're literally running out of breath to read. I was actually, the one thing I am good at is writing, and if you do that, and if you have to read that kind of thing, it's just bad. But basically what this is saying is they're reusing such old technology that we actually have to go backwards to find it. Because now there's other enemies that are reusing this old, crappy technology, but that crappy technology could take advantage of us because we've upgraded and moved on. That's what am I picking up what they're throwing here?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you think about the 3 major powers, Russia, China, and us, and we're all running nuclear powered subs, right? And then, you still have companies that make diesel, and I think France was making one for Australia, and they got booted when we offered them the nuclear powered ones. But not just that, but there's other countries, whether it's, NK or others, who may have diesel subs that are not, or be acquiring or building or buying, right, diesel powered subs. And it's just something that we've spent all of our time on the new nuclear powered ones.
Well, that's weird, because it's like these diesel ones could sneak right up on us, because we're not going to hear it, but they are louder, and we need the different technology to block it. So just watch. Like them reusing the Soviet jets. China bought all of the old Soviet jets and they've made them into drones. So you've got unmanned Soviet jets, and they're making these massive fleets. Why are they doing all of this in such a short amount of time? It's just, like how Divine 1122 puts it, it's amazing time to be alive. Yeah, we're going to see some crazy stuff in our lifetimes. Hopefully everybody's going to be with us. I just think, we're not promised tomorrow. Lisa K23, thank you for supporting over on DLive. Hadron was right. Thank you for following over on DLive. DLive, D-Love, lots of D-Love over there. Bear Claws Griffle, Divine 1122 says, light of love, everyone. You're amazing. Chance Paladin is holding it down over there. And Jammer1 and Jaybird, thank you guys for holding it down. And then we have Mr. Mo, Battleborn 111, We've got Tasharian and Carrie Lake Bugnana, Karen from Columbus, one on B, the Naughty Gypsy, Rabbit 1111. Everybody's up in the house. Thank you guys. Thank you everybody that's been over there. Gem, wherever you are, thank you so much for being here. And then Doubt Her, thank you. As far as what is happening, I wanted to touch back on the deep underground military bases. We know for a fact from recent information that's come out, and then, of course, confirmation from people like Atlas, the gentleman who owns Atlas, elites are making, and this is at an alarming rate, deep underground bases and bunkers, and now the military has all of these different contracts. It makes me wonder that if some of what the Boring Company is doing is for other reasons other than just shuttling people around in Teslas. Now, that could be a cover. Obviously, they can be doing a whole lot of work. They can have work trucks. They can have whole fleets of people in, and nobody thinks anything of it. Meanwhile, they could be doing secondary projects on all of the coastlines, making bunkers. Major cities, look at what China is doing, and then look at what we're doing. China is building just hundreds and hundreds of these silos, and then at the same time, we are building tunnels supposedly for transportation, which, again, they could be doing that publicly, and then also having a second crew making these crazy bunkers under all the major cities that they believe are going to be hit. Fort Lauderdale isn't this crazy city, but that area actually does have a lot of important stuff. Seattle, Washington, we have Boeing. We have, I want to say, not Northrop Grumman. We have multiple aerospace and weapons, sub companies here. As far as we have Microsoft, we have all of these, Expedia, we have all these big companies that are Amazon, of course. Amazon's Jeff Bezos is here. So, I mean, we're a big target on the map. I have personally gotten a ton of messages about here. We have these weird booms all the time. I've heard them myself, and I'm like, we're not by a shooting range. We're not, there's no dump nearby that's crushing things. What the hell is going on? I personally think that there's physical proof that they're digging underground and that they're making these bunkers, but is that really going to solve the problem? Where would we go, and where would you go if you had a certain amount of time and there was something headed our way, or you found out that, something was going to hit in 3 hours? Where would you go? This is something that everybody should think about. You should have a plan, and don't base it on some fictional crazy meteorite hitting at 1 in trillion odds. Base it on a very real scenario that the government is preparing for. If they're preparing for it, then you should be too. Speaking of which, let's see here. So weird. Where is the main story I wanted to hit is not in here. Dex, I don't have the I don't know if it loaded wrong or what. The food, the China.
Okay, let me grab it. Or grab it off the website real quick. I'll see if I can get it.
Is it in Pocket? Let me see. Yes. Okay, I got it. Don't worry, Dex. China tells families to hoard food for winter amid supply fears. Now, anybody could take this at face value. I am not taking this at face value for hell no. I am not taking this for face value. First of all, if you look at everything I have shown you over the last 2 months, and if you're new, I apologize. You should go back through all these shows. If you've seen what we've shown you, and you've seen the information, them practicing with the fractional orbital bombardment system, if you've seen them literally shut down export and shut down all this stuff, cut out millions and millions of dollars worth of profit to cut anything Western world out, English-speaking, English teachers are all going home now. Their visas are going to expire. They've basically cut out the U.S. They are showing people, they're saying, get ready for war. They're telling them straight up. At the same time, Russia is doing all this stuff with Ukraine, and then Russia and China have never been closer. Now Russia's teamed up with India, other largest country in the world. Again, I always say company. They're all companies. These countries are all run by these companies. If you see this, it says a statement from China's government urging local authorities to ensure that there was adequate food supply during the winter and encouraging people to stock up on some essentials prompted to concerned talk online, with people linking it to the widening outbreak, a forecast cold snap, or even rising tensions with Taiwan. It says a Ministry of Commerce urged local authorities to stabilize prices and ensure supplies of daily necessities, including vegetables this winter and next spring. According to a statement Monday evening, Chinese households were encouraged to stock up on a certain amount of daily necessities in preparation for the winter months or emergencies. Not only this, they were actually given... there's actually more to this, so hold on. There was a previous warning just like this, and it was before a massive event. Seth Covington, I must have offended someone. You got my last dollar. I hope you... I don't know what you're talking about, but again, if you accidentally got booted, which sometimes happens, let me know, or whatever happened. Again, don't worry about it, Seth. Either way, hope you come back. You don't need to super chat, by the way, to be here. China tells families to hoard this food, and again, this was the second time they've done this exact thing, and they did it before an event. So check this out. I'm going to show you the original. Hopefully, it loads all right, because there's more to this. Don't know why it's not been loading right. Oh, it's because it's one of these. It says the topic of Ministry of Commerce encourages households to stockpile daily necessities as needed had over 17 million views on Weibo, China's Twitter-like social platform, and more than 5,000 people had commented on it as of 1:45 p.m. on Tuesday, Beijing time. Now, check this out. There was a couple of little pictures here. It says that it may be in response to a future lockdown. This is where it also could very well mean something. It very well, because China is the initial place, whatever, that all this stuff, supposedly happened, right? Their lockdowns happened first, and then it was everybody else. They are telling them, and they actually say it publicly, is more for the CV thing. That's what they're telling their people, saying to stockpile for this. It says a number of comments speculated the request of stock food must be linked to the plans for an attack on Taiwan. One of the comments mentioning Taiwan seen earlier in the day was no longer able to be viewed in the evening, so they got rid of that. They deleted it. It says there was also concern about extreme weather could affect vegetable production and transportation. Wholesale vegetable prices had always soared in recent weeks, costing more than meat in some cases, after heavy rains drenched major producing regions in the north and flooded the top-growing province of Shandong. On top of this, they've had power cut out on them all over the country. They're having all sorts of issues happen, and I think that this is like the beginning of a conflict between the two. And you have it kind of like this, all this stuff is going down, but they're publicly saying nothing is happening. In response of the online speculation, a Ministry of Commerce official tried to calm concerns, says the supply of daily necessities is sufficient everywhere and supply should be fully guaranteed. That's their reassurance. It says earlier in the day, the state media Economic Daily put on a report saying that people shouldn't overthink or become anxious about the original MOFCOM statement. It argued the call to stock up on food was so people would be prepared if they had to quarantine at home during the current outbreak. So either way that this goes, either way what this is for is a bad thing for the entire world. Because if they all of a sudden say that there's some new, virus right? That means the whole world is going to follow. I've been feeling like there was going to be some big, they're going to, all of a sudden, it's going to be like the movie Songbird, and be like, CV-23. And this one, it just melts your brain and kicks you in the butt multiple times, right? And then all of a sudden, this all starts over. I've been afraid of that. But also, would they also do something like that before a major event kicks off to make sure that everybody is where they can account for? Or could they possibly track every person so they could find survivors in a massive event? There's lots of different theories out there. What's yours? Again, let's get our next caller on. We've got Ryan. Ryan, first time caller, talking about Chinooks circling. Oh, weird. And this is tonight. Dex, we'll get Ryan in, and then...
And Adam, Ryan is live.
Ryan, you are live on Marfoogle News. What's going on?
Hey, Adam, how's it going?
How are you doing, Ryan?
I'm doing all right. This happened just a few hours ago. I was heard all this commotion, like helicopters outside. So I went outside, and there was three Chinook helicopters that were flying around in circles around this relatively large light in the center of the sky, and it was sitting there like flashing erratically and just looking all weird, And they were flying in circles, and then above them there was two other lights a little higher, and these wasn't airplanes, because I live relatively close to an airport, and there's airplanes out here all the time. You can obviously see them, but whatever this thing was didn't act normal, and it even had like a blue hue to the light of what it was flashing, and it sat there stationary in the center as these three were flying around it. They had three helicopters, and then it just bolted, man. It was gone, and then they took off in the same direction. It was it was pretty crazy.
Now, so you weren't able to get your phone out or anything, right?
No, I ran outside, and I was just I was amazed at what I was seeing. I didn't even think about it until after the fact.
So you're saying was the light hovering, and then these three helicopters were, how high was this? Like, was it in the middle of the air, or was it really high up, or?
No, it wasn't extremely high up. The helicopters were circling rather low, and the light was stationary in the center for quite a little bit. And then it kind of started to move off, and then the two that were above it, they shot off in an upward direction, and then the one that was in the center just shot straight out, and it was gone. And then they all three of them took off in that direction towards the west from where I'm at.
I'm okay. What I'm envisioning is, have you ever seen that Holy Land video of the light that's above the Holy Land temple and then it shoots straight up? Is that kind of what you're describing?
Yeah, man. It was that's why I didn't even think about getting my phone, because I couldn't believe what I was seeing. And it was not any type of airplane, because like I said, there's an airport not very far from my house, and there's airplanes that fly around all the time. That airport actually used to be a military base. Some say it still is underground, but that's neither here nor there. And I'm about 30 minutes from Wright-Patterson Air Force Base also. So it was pretty interesting, and I was calling to let you guys know about it, because you don't usually see stuff like that out here.
And you're in Ohio, is that correct?
Yeah, Wilmington.
Now, so the thing flew straight up, but then the helicopters flew like off to the side. They just went somewhere else.
Well, the one in the center kind of flew out. up and out, and they went out in that direction. The two that were the two lights that was above the helicopter ring, they shot out in like a V pattern. One went one way and one went the other way, and the one that was in the center, it shot out, and the helicopters took off after the direction that it went.
Oh, weird. Okay. Now you're sure they weren't drones or planes? It was just balls of light.
No. Yeah, no. It was big, man. It definitely wasn't a drone, and it had a weird light pattern that it was flashing, and it was like had a blue hue to it, and it wasn't an airplane. It wasn't a drone. It was. I guess it was our friends from elsewhere, because it was awesome. I'd never seen anything like it before, and I wanted to call and tell you about it.
Did it scare you, or was it more amazing, or what?
Well, the level that the helicopters were flying at was relatively pretty low, so. That was a little interesting, but yeah, I mean, I'm totally. I mean, it was really cool. I didn't really feel scared, so to speak. I was just more in awe about what I was seeing.
Wow, I wish I could have seen it. I wish I could have been there with you. As far as I envision in my head something like that video, the famous video of above the temple where they have multiple angles of it and it just shoots straight up into the air. That video is still not 100% explained. And you know, the more that comes out, if you've seen my show for the last 2 weeks, we've covered multiple celebrities are coming out saying the weirdest things, talking about catastrophic events, talking about, you had the head chief of NASA say that, not only talking about other civilized, organized beings, but then also talking about possible other universes. So an actual multiverse, like this is just mind-boggling. This is what our officials are saying. What if we just have this, we're just getting these little bits of disclosure. It's just weird. Well, thanks, Ryan. I'm glad that you thought of us first to tell us this. If anyone else saw this in Ohio, if anyone got video of it, for damn sure, give us a ring, and then marfooglenews.com/playmyvideo. Do you think anybody else would have saw it, or was it in a rural area? Do you think anybody could have seen it?
Definitely somebody else could have saw it, man. There's quite a few houses around where we're at right here. And the Chinooks were relatively pretty low, and it was loud, you know. So I'm sure that somebody else had to have seen it.
All right. Well, if you saw it at home, if you saw this, give us a call or post the video on marfooglenews.com/playmyvideo. Ryan, thank you for calling in. And again, is there one more thing you want to say before you go?
Yeah, man, I love your work. I love your jams, and I love all the Foogle fams.
All right, man. Well, Ryan, thanks, and nice meeting you. It's your first time call. Don't be a stranger. Call me again, okay? Tell me if.
All right, brother. Have a good one.
You should ask people around if you know of anybody that was in sight of that thing. You should ask them. Ask them if they saw it too. If you could collaborate, man, you could get. Ask if anybody has put a thing on Neighbors or something like that. Say, does anybody have Ring video footage of, that direction? See if there's any businesses that would look at their camera, try to guess the time. And, there's so many surveillance cameras now. In fact, email me if there's any, try to do some research, see if there's any businesses or any place that has a 24-hour webcam for tourists to tune into. Who knows? This could have been caught on a what do you call it? A surveillance cam.
Yeah, closed circuit or whatever. Yeah.
Was it above anything?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I mean it's there's a school kind of in that direction, a football field, and then there's just it's like a residential area over there. So I mean, yeah, there was definitely it was above all kinds of stuff.
See, this is where Facebook, people would be posting stuff to Facebook. People would be posting stuff to neighbors. Look tonight. This was tonight. People, if you're in Ohio, look at your neighbor's app, look at your things. Try to get me that video, because I bet you, if this is most likely got videoed by some residential Ring camera. It probably got videoed by somebody's Nest camera or something. So, yeah, Ryan, thanks for the heads up. And I'm putting a call out to the Fugel fam. If anybody can get me footage of this, that would be amazing. We'll try to show it on the next show.
Awesome, man. Thanks for having me.
All right, Ryan, you have a great night. Be safe. Be prepared. And Marf out. Dex, let's go over the web only, because I mean, like, this is just nuts. How many just insane things are happening all at the same time?
Yeah, so head over to marfooglenews.com, click on the thumbnail for today's show, and scroll down to web only content, right past the contest. If you haven't entered the contest, make sure you do. It's the last chance you're gonna get. If you're having a hard time figuring out marfooglenews.com, just click the link in the description on YouTube. It's the first link right there in the description. Anyway, lots of things going on. Apparently some people are gathering in Dallas. I'm not sure why, but I can't definitely say it on air, but you can go find out. Some interesting things happening in the political world, especially today, because today was the day for some things happening around the world, or around the nation, from a box and a piece of paper that you put in there in that box. That was going on. So lots of new news will be coming out overnight on that. Some of it's already come out, specifically in like Virginia. A lot of people are saying certain things have already happened. And then lots more going on. The rest of the story, things that are very too far to one side, or things we just can't cover here on air. But go take a look, marfooglenews.com. Click on the thumbnail for the show and scroll down to web-only content. And by the way, right after that, you'll find all of the caller information. So make sure you check that out too. And guess what? Rumble is moving. So they're literally moving from one state to another. So you can check that out there too. Just some more content like that you can find right there on marfooglenews.com.
Also, the tweet about the $2.25 billion for the Civilian Climate Corps. Climate police. All right, well,
yeah, how about that?
Yeah, we're in a new world, folks, and buckle up, like Jacob Israel always says, because it's going to be a wild ride. I do want to say a couple quick thank yous. Thank you to Gone Girl 777 last night for supporting through PayPal. There were several people that popped over this last week. Again, Amanda E., thank you so much for your support. Johnson and Sons, I appreciate you. Thank you for going over to PayPal during the show. And then In Pursuit of Magic, thank you for your support. Thank you guys for supporting us over there. And then, looks like somebody just popped in. Mr. Steves says, I try to give this way because it takes less. You said that last time. Thank you. I appreciate that. Mr. Steves, I appreciate you, and thank you so much for supporting us that way. And then over on DLive, Divine 1122, I believe will be the leader over there. And then Abracadabra, thank you, says Braves win. Wow. Something tells me with all the bad news, there will be another tomorrow and another World Series next year. Go Braves. Bless Hank Aaron. And then JV says, are we going to get a myriad of meteorites causing enormous change to the environment 1/3 of the earth? Just like told in the Bible, the supply chain already collapsed. We have the leftovers. They are getting ready. Are we? JV, I agree with one thing. We need to all be ready. Because when the lights go out, you're not going to be able to get anything together. Mike Honcho 27, not sure if it's related, but a couple hours ago I saw helicopters circling around, chasing and shining light in my area, Novi, Michigan. Man, what if this was like out of a movie where all these lights just drop down on all the major cities? That would be a trip. Stormhawk says, get your EMP shield before it's too late. Seth Covington, again, I don't know what the whole deal was. Again, thank you.
Hey, Adam, on that topic, just for others to know, our mods aren't always responsible for what happens. A lot of times the platform is doing things, and so don't
YouTube
always
moderators
jump to conclusion that it's just our people, because a lot of times the messages are marked and we can't do anything about it. A lot of times they're marked and they just disappear. So
oh yeah, by the way, so YouTube moderators pop into bigger chats. We have over 5,000 people here, 10,000. We've had 15,000 at one point. The actual YouTube moderators will pop in time to time. On the Global Witness stream that we were on the other night, Larry Elder was going to be there. They popped in and were modding. That's the whole thing. So another thing is somebody who's not a mod wouldn't understand. I don't know if this was the case, or you might have violated just some of the simple rules that it's just automatic. But again, it just says show or hide. And when the mods are dealing with 5,000 people, usually they're just going to hide. So it's automatically picked out by the algorithm. You press hide and it goes away. But again, either way though, I don't like when people get offended when they get modded. The modding, there's rules that I set, and I don't see you guys down there. If you do that, I actually see it. And it's like, I would have never noticed that. Nobody else even sees it, because it just happens. If you have to sit out 5 minutes because of a technicality or something, just sit out for 5 minutes. Nobody's going to notice. It's not like, the people get so defensive and so hurt, and they feel like everybody's laughing. They're all going to laugh at you. Nobody notices that stuff. If, you got put in bad boy jail for a minute. Otherwise, though, as far as if your stuff is getting censored by the platform, I can't help that sometimes. Either way, there's so many going on. It says show or hide, and the mods, sometimes there'll only be 1 or 2 mods for 5,000 people. It happens. So just future reference, I know there's a lot of people, there's still 4,700 people, something like that here. It's really hard.
Hey, Adam.
Yeah.
Different subject. A bit of karma. Okay. In April this year, Major League Baseball Commissioner Robert Manfred announced he was yanking the All-Star game away from Atlanta because he was trying to, virtue signal over what our governor had done with certain laws that affect the events that happen every November. Well, now Robert Manfred has to hand the championship trophy to the Atlanta Braves. So.
That's awesome. That's bad. Well, that is karma, isn't it? By the way, Jammer 1 ended up being the number 1 tonight. That's really surprising. A mod over on DLive is number 1 in support of the channel. So thank you. Again, Jammer 1, you don't have to do that. But that's awesome. Bear Claws is number 2 so far. And then Pez Player is number 3. Thank you so much. Salute to you. And then Tara Shard 223 is number 4. Lizari, One Gunna Seer. Lisa K 23, Scooby Doo Do Right 1122. Thank you everybody that has supported tonight over there. And then Zippy Moons popped in for a couple seconds there. Blue Torch Barbie, Rizar, Meme Man 1984. Nice to see you there. And then we've got One on B, Tree Hookers, Jack BF, Angela 1609. Everybody over there, thank you so much for joining us. D-Live, D-Love. And then on YouTube, thank you everybody that popped in tonight. Over almost 5,000 people tonight. Thank you. Appreciate it. Each and every one of you that are watching the replay. If you are watching the replay, I appreciate you. How much time do we have left, Dex?
Adam, we'll probably be flipping over right after 5 minutes because we're coming up on the mark soon.
All right. So thank you everybody for joining us. It is now officially time for the shoutro. It's not an outro. It's not a shout out. It's a shoutro. It's where I say thank you to the people that matter most through my silly, silly music.
Fall sometimes and we never get up. We all fall sometimes and we never get up. bringing on down the low. Go to bring back and we bring the storm. Storm High Francisco, San Covington and Armago. Guns and all that wolf hound, shells in the robber and the jail. Doing the Christian Roma, felonious walker gonna roam. Sometimes and we never get up. Sarah Covington, bring it back every day. Robert Angel on that summer day. Hey, Felonio, ho, walking out. He hot car and a none your business now. Sheila Amos, Texas Sweetie. Mr. MBB 333. Gonna stay with a Mr. Steve and a Mike rolling Heights of Marcy. Texas Sweetie, I'm no rusty 88. Thank you. Susan Donahue. Susan Donahue. Susan Donahue. Susan Donahue. Susan Donahue. Susan I was walking down the street one day. I saw my friend Rusty 88, that Gen X dude and Mr. Day. Oh, I said, Andy Burnham got a walk. Bring it back, Samuel lost luck. I gotta go and do that talk, and it might be a long walk. Said Governor Robert Angel and that caller Angel. Thanks for calling in, it was a good call. I said abracadabra and the JV. Gonna bring my honcho and Steve, and we all gonna hang out. I said I love the way that we Marfoogle together. Bring it back and now all the law. It was all about the jam. We did it just how I did it like that. We do it all night. I said loving down bow. Stacy Lanner, thank you so much. I appreciate that. Stacy Lanner, let's have some banter. Boom, 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 boom. Stacy Lanner, let's have some banter. Boom, 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 boom. Stacy Banter, Stacy Lanter, let's get some banter. Whoa. Stacy Lanter, let's have some banter. Stacy Lanter, let's have some banter.